All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how me and my business partner have done over $10 million in online sales just as a sales rep. I'm going to show you exactly how we structure our calls, our phone calls first. I'll do another video on how to actually do the demo, but this is going to be a video just how to structure your initial phone calls. Now, the first thing I want to get into is how did we get the lead, right? So the way that we do this is we go here. So first I'm going to go. Okay, so this is it's really three steps, but I'm gonna make it into four steps just to keep it basic. So the first step is lead, right? How did we get the lead? Second step is qualification call, right? And the third step is the demo, and the fourth step is our favorite part, which is where you actually collect the sale, right? That's where you make the money. So first step, what you want to do is understand where we usually get our leads and where we have gotten our leads. So when I was a sales rep, there were no ads being ran. Like most of the business that me and my business partner have done have been all organic, right? No paid ads, no Facebook ads, no Google ads, no TikTok ads, no Instagram ads, nothing. Literally just all organic, right? So where we got our leads were Facebook groups, right? So if I go here, literally just go lead. So I'm only going to put one line because it literally came from one spot. So we're going to do Facebook groups, right? So we went into Facebook groups. We literally found exactly where our ideal client they hung out, right? And we literally just went into the Facebook groups and got leads from there. This is not a cold call. These are warm calls with leads, right? So this is exactly that. So qualification call. Once we get the lead, you get their phone number, right? Once you get their phone number, then what we did was you brought them to a qualification call. Now, inside the qualification call was where we qualified them very heavily. This is something that needs to happen before your demo. Most people and most sales reps hop on sales calls without the prospect even knowing the price, or they hop on a demo without the prospect even knowing the price. So you get, let's schedule a Zoom call. They hop on, you pitch them the whole time, you let them know the price at the end, and you get a crap ton of objections. That's not what we do. What we do is we make sure we qualify them first. Now, inside the qualification call, what are we doing? We're doing a couple different things. First, I'm gonna do three lines for this, right? So the three things you want to look for when you're qualifying someone is, which is probably more than three, but we're gonna start with three. So I'm no artist here, but the three things that we want to look for is number one. I hate this word, but this we have to talk about this. Every person is interested, right? But you have to make sure that their interest is peaked. This happens inside where we get the leads, which is the Facebook groups, right? And I'll talk about that in another video, but this is for your first phone call with a prospect that you get. You do Instagram, if you do Facebook, whatever, however you get leads, this is how you should be doing the calls, right? First, you want to make sure that they're interested, meaning that you're gonna know that within this part, the lead part. So make sure they're interested. Make sure they want what you have to offer. Once you guys both agree to get on a phone call, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure they're interested, even still on the phone call, committed to their own goals. It's gonna sound repetitive, but it's sound basic, but it's just true. And I cannot type today. You want to make sure that they're financially able to pay, right? So, what are the three things that a person should know when they're on a qualification call with you? You are qualifying them, meaning that you are making sure that they are exactly who you want as a client. They are interested in what you have, they are committed to their own success by working with you, and they have the money to actually pay for it. That is a qualified buyer, right? You do not bring them to this part unless you do these things, unless you qualify them. Okay? Because when you bring them here, let's say you bring a person that's broke and they don't have any money to pay you, you bring them to a demo, you just wasted 2 hours on a demo trying to close someone that doesn't have any money. So obviously there's other ways that they could pay, like if you have financing or if they have credit, whatever, but you want to just start here, right? At the qualification call. Now, what are we going to be putting in these qualification calls? Now, this is going to vary for every single different industry that you're in, right? So whatever your industry is in, I'm going to try to make this as general as possible so that you can fill in your words from there. Keep in mind, I never called this a script. I call this a framework because when you understand a framework of something, you'll always know what to say. This is not a script. You do not read word from word from this, right? You could, but you got to be really good. And you got to make it sound like you're not reading anything. So I'm going to pull up my script, or my framework, I should say. See, it trips people up sometimes. I'm going to pull up my framework and I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go just write everything out right here. So first we're going to run through every single step and I'm going to talk about the steps, right? Step number 1 is communication, right? Meaning that you want to get into communication with somebody. Now, how do you know that you're in communication with someone? You can hear their laugh through the phone. Now, how do you do this? Crack a joke, ask them where they're from. This is one thing that I do. Ask them where they're from, then I crack a joke about where they're from. Oh, you're from New York? You're from Connecticut? Oh, I'm from New York. We got better pizza than you. I'm from Jersey. We got better pizza than you. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, now you know you're in communication with them. Okay? So, then you're going to do the transition into the goals, right? And then you're going to say something along the lines of, right? What are their goals, right? So, you told me you were looking to do XYZ. Just tell me a little bit more about that. Where are you at right now and where are you actually wanting to achieve with it, right? This is more of a broad question that's going to get them to tell you a little bit, right? But this doesn't mean that they're going to just take control of the conversation. Once you understand their goals, this is a list of goal-oriented questions that you're going to ask, right? So for example, if we're helping agencies scale, right? We help agencies scale by helping them generate leads, and we help them with their sales, right? So let's say I'm talking to a prospect of my own, right? These are along the lines of what I'm going to say. We're getting to goals, right? And these aren't just questions like, oh, you ask these certain questions and they're going to just buy from you. No, these are legitimate questions that are going to make me understand the prospect's dominant buying motive on why they actually want to work with me, or if they even are committed to even working with me or committed to their own selves and their own success, right? So, goals. What are we going to put inside goals, right? What are your main goals behind XYZ, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to use a method that I like to call going deep and going wide. What do I mean by this? What are your main goals behind XYZ is a broad question. This is a surface level question, right? You're not going to always just hone off of this, right? What you're going to do is you're going to ask them this question and they're going to tell you a broad range of things. Then that's going to allow you to go get deeper and go wider with that. So you're going to get very deep and you're going to get very wide. So, what are your main goals with that? They're going to tell you, right? And you're going to be like, okay, cool. What's the main reason why you even hopped on the call with me in the first place? Right? How much what are you currently doing to achieve XYZ? What do you feel you are not doing? Right? Now, you're not going to ask every single one of these questions, but you're going to ask some of these, right? However the call goes, you're going to ask some of these, right? So then you're going to ask something along the lines of how not really crazy about this question. I don't really even ask this question because it's kind of like typical salesy, right? Don't ask this question. How does achieving that make you feel, right? Because like they know what you're trying to do, right? Like some prospects are smart, some aren't. They're gonna know what you're trying to do. Then what you're gonna do is what are your main goals behind it? What's the main reason why you even hopped on the call with me in the first place? What are you currently doing to achieve? So these are just like goals with the business, right? Then what you're gonna get into is what we call, and I'm gonna go over each one of these. But I'm just going to write them down first. Number 3, what we like to call senior data. Data of the highest importance. The first was just surface level goals, right? People are going to see this, they're going to be like, oh, that's surface level, that's just goals. Like, everyone does that. Yeah, okay. But then this is where we get different. Senior data. You've had this agency for XYZ time. why haven't you been, can't type today. So you've had this agency for XYZ time. Why haven't you been able to achieve XYZ? You're going to talk about why they haven't been able to achieve their goals. These are what they want to do. This isn't what they're currently doing. Then this is where you're going to find out about what they're currently doing and why they're not at the goals, right? So for us, I would say something along the lines of, okay, if I go here, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to say, oh, XYZ. Okay, now I'm going to go here, and then, or not been doing. To generate leads, get on more calls, and actually bring home deals, right? These are important questions. If nothing changes, what does your life look like, right? So here, I'm gonna start here, right? There's 6 steps to this, but these are the top 3 steps. Communication. First, you're gonna go through and you're gonna get into communication with them. It's gonna sound something like this: like, Chris, how's it going, man? It's Jerry. I know we spoke over Facebook. You're telling me you were looking to, do X, Y, Z. How's the day going, right? Pretty basic. They're gonna, oh yeah, no, day's going good. Be like, awesome, man. Where am I calling to? Or like, where are you from? I don't usually like to say where are you from. I usually say where am I calling to, because then it's like, where are you calling from? They're like, oh no, you called me. But so you're gonna say like, oh, where am I calling to? They're like, oh, I'm in Florida. I'd be like, dude, you're like Florida. I'd be like, dude, what is it like? What is it like, a sauna down there? What is it like, 400 degrees right now? Or will you have an alligator as a pet? And they're like, huh, no. Once you get them to laugh, you move on to step 2. Do not spend a lot of time on here. Just get them to laugh. Do not move to the second part until you get them to laugh. You can, like, it's gonna be very hard. The call is going to be very hard. You need to break them. They are tense. They know this is a sales call, most likely. They're going to be tense. So you're going to make sure you're going to ask them the question. You're going to get them to laugh. The second you get them to laugh, you're going to go on to step 2. Okay, dude. So you were telling me you wanted to go and scale your agency. Like, dude, just be broad with me. Tell me some of your goals about that. I just want to really understand where you're coming from. Notice that I'm not just going, what are your main goals with XYZ? What's the main reason why? I'm not saying it like that. I'm transitioning. This is why it's a framework. You're not building out a script saying everything word for word. This is just things that you need to say, and you need to incorporate these lines into how you naturally sound. So, dude, I know you're telling me you were looking to scale your agency. What's behind that? Like, what are you doing right now? Where are you trying to take it, right? And then, awesome, dude, got it. I'm just like writing all this stuff down. What's the main reason why you even hopped on the call with me in the first place? I'm just curious, right? And they're gonna start telling you, okay, so you wanted to do XYZ. So, like, talk to me about what you're currently doing to do that. What's your day-to-day look like of you being able to achieve that? Oh, I'm not doing anything. Okay, cool. What do you feel like you're not doing to get there? Like, I'm just like, again, I always say like, oh, I'm just curious, just out of curiosity, because I'm not just going like, what do you feel like you're not doing? Because it's going to sound like you're reading off a fucking script. So you want to say, okay, just curious, just so I can know, what do you feel like you're not doing and why you're not there? You're asking them deep questions. Then you move on to the senior data, right? Okay, so Chris, you've had this agency for, like, you told me like 6 months, right? You're like, yeah, okay, cool. Now, dude, be honest with me. Like, what's the real reason why you haven't been able to achieve what you're looking to do? Because it sounds like you're already doing money. Like, you're already making money. Why do you need me? Right? And they're going to tell you why they need you. You're not saying, why do you need me? And they're not going to be like, oh, well, I don't need you. Because you're getting on the phone with them. They know you're, like, you guys agreed to have a conversation. Right? Okay. Awesome. So you're looking to do XYZ. That's why you haven't been able to achieve, because it sounds like your process is a little jacked up, right? Okay, cool. So you're looking to generate more leads. How many leads are you getting right now? Oh, I'm only getting, 2 a week. Okay. Why do you feel that? Like, why is that? Why aren't you getting 10? You told me you wanted to get 20, right? Go back to the goals. You told me you wanted to get 20. Why are you only getting 2? Oh, well, because I don't have the right lead system. Like, okay, cool, got it. Now you like they're just telling you everything. Okay, so be honest with me, dude. Like, if nothing were to change, like if you were to not actually fix this problem, like it's not like this is a pretty big problem to you, right? Like, yeah, okay. If nothing changes, like, what does your life look like? They're gonna be like, oh well, I'm not gonna be able to go and get my wife a car or pay off my house and do all these things. That's the dominant buying motive. That's where you get them to actually tell you the real reason. Everybody wants to make money, but why do you want to make money? You want to make money because you want to go and you want to actually like take care of your family, right? Do bigger things in your life, travel, have time freedom, have location freedom. That's why. All this shit does not matter. It does matter because this is it's making up the call, but what really matters is their DBM, their dominant buying motive, right? Their dominant buying motive is going to come from, dude, what does your life look like if you don't change this? And they're going to tell you that's where they throw up. That's where they're going to tell you everything. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get into the qualification part. You could do a little bit of education in between here, right? Right? But I'm not even going to really do that. My calls are very short, honestly. Like I don't do my calls the same way I did when I was a sales rep. It's way different now. It's much higher level. They're talking to me, right? So now what you're going to get into is the qualification, right? Right? Inside the qualification is what we're going to do, right? You're going to say something along the lines of this. We're selective. And like you should actually be selective on who you work with, right? We're selective. And make sure you bring up the fact when you say, oh, we're selective on who we work with. You could be like, dude, I know everybody says this because there are people that just say like, oh, yeah, we're selective, but then they want to fucking close everybody. We don't want to do that. We are selective, actually. Dude, we're selective of who we work with, right? We want to work with high level people that only want to be around other high level people, and we don't want people that waste our time, and we don't want to waste your time, right? So just so I can actually really understand what you're looking to do, I'm going to ask you a couple questions to make sure that we're both a good fit for each other, right? Does that sound good? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so you're going to say something along the lines of that. So we're selective. No time wasters. Because what this is also doing is labeling them. When you say that we're selective on who we work with, like you could even say something, dude, does that sound like someone that's like you? Like, are you like a time waster? Like, do you like to waste people's time, or are you actually like committed to actually trying to figure something out for this? This is labeling them. This is labeling them without like you see a lot of these people doing all these like sales content. And they're like, oh, like you have to label them. Like, dude, what type of person do you think you are? No, you. That's not. You don't have to do that. You just have to ask them. Like, dude, we're only selective on who we work with, right? They're gonna feel when you're saying this that like, oh, like I hope I'm that person, right? They are working with you. You are not. They're closing themselves on working with you. Keep in mind with that, right? Yeah, you will need to do some closing, but they need to close themselves on wanting to work with you, right? Keep in mind, the biggest thing in this, I want to pause for a second. The biggest thing in this is understanding that this whole call cannot sound like a sales call. You need to sound exactly how you are naturally. You don't want to sound, oh, you curse every other word, right? I curse here and there on my sales calls. Like that's just who I am. I'm gonna. If you don't like it, get off the call, hang up. But I'm gonna curse a little bit. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, fuck this, fuck that, like every 5 seconds. But I'm not gonna sound like, oh, I'm talking to, my college bro. I'm gonna be talking to a friend, right? Someone that it's casual. You don't want to make it pressure. They need to have their guard down, and that's how you're actually going to be able to get them to really open up and answer all these questions for you, right? Okay, so we're selecting on who we work with. No time wasters. We want to work with high level people, right? First thing you want to make sure. Okay, we want to make sure that you're coachable, right? Second, we want to make sure that you are a lifelong learner. Now, depending on what you're selling, you can change this up. This is what we do. This is just a framework. Keep in mind, I'm not writing you a script here. I'm giving you a framework on what you should do. You could put this whole thing in the chat GPT and be like, I sell to home service business owners. Write me a framework that's like this. And it'll write it for you. This is just understand this is what we say, right? Want to make sure you're coachable, committed, coachable, lifelong learner, and committed, right? So it'll sound something along the lines of like this, right? We'll be like, dude, here's the deal. Me and my business partner, we're very selective on who we work with, right? We really only want to work with high level people. And keep in mind, I'm reading off of this right now. And I want you to understand if it sounds like I'm reading off of it, right? Okay. So, dude, me and my business partner, Luke, I'll be honest with you, we're extremely selective on who we really choose to work with every day, right? I know a lot of people say that, but the thing is, we really want to work with only high level people. We don't want people that waste our time. We don't want to waste other people's time, right? So just so I can really understand who you are as a person, screw whatever you want to do. I want to understand who you are as a person. I want to make sure that this might be a good fit, right? I want to make sure that this will be a good fit. Okay. First, I want to make sure you're coachable, right? Meaning that you could actually receive the information that we're going to give you, duplicate the information, and because, dude, we're going to be spending time with you at the end of the day, right? We're going to be building out your offer. We're going to be helping you to provide the steps to actually get where you want to be. But we want to make sure you're serious, right? Like, are you serious? And we go, yeah. Keep in mind, I just read that. Like, did it sound like it? No, I don't think so. Second, first, the second thing is important because we want to make sure that you're not just want to take information, implement it, and we want to make sure you're a lifelong learner, right? Hitting 20,000 a month with your agency is cool, but we want to be around people that are striving for that, that big wealth, right? The massive success, not just the small wins, right? And third, this is the most important part. It's huge when it comes to people that we work with. We want to make sure you're committed, right? I know you said you wanted to make 20 grand a month, and that's cool. I'm just really looking for people who are actually committed to the amount of effort, energy, sacrifice it's actually going to take for you to get there. Because if I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life, right? It's not going to be easy. So to be honest with me, man, those three things sound like you, right? You say, yeah, 100%. Like, okay, cool. So it sounds like it might be a good fit, but what I'd love to actually do is get you on a quick Zoom call, show you step by step exactly how we can potentially get you from where you are right now to where you want to go. Not only that, but I want to actually outline a game plan to help you create your offers, build out your business, scale it, show you what that would look like, going back into their goals. Obviously, you'd have a quick 20, 30 minutes hop on a Zoom call today, right? Okay. Keep in mind what I just said, right? So, right here is where I said, I want to make sure you're committed, right? I'm looking for people that are actually committed to the amount of effort, energy, and sacrifice that it will take to get there. Because if I'm going to be honest, it will be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life. You are pre-framing this as it will not be easy. This is good because you're almost like talking them out of it in a way, number one, but put that aside. You're letting them know this isn't going to be easy. So when shit starts to get hard, they're gonna be like, oh, I want a refund. It's hard. Like, okay, no, I told you. When we talked on the phone, you agreed that you were willing to stick it out. Like, this is what entrepreneurship takes. Like, be real with them. None of my shit is like sales tactics, right? Okay, so now what you're gonna do is now you got those three things. Okay, cool. Now you go, okay, sounds like you might be a good fit. Then what you're gonna do is you're going to transition into number 5. This is all about transitioning. Okay, sounds like it might be a good fit, but what I'd actually like to do is, boom, step number 5, set demo. This is where you're setting up the Zoom call. I hope some of you are amazed by this because you literally are not hopping on a call unless you're qualifying them. This is where you really understand if they're going to be a good fit for the call, right? Okay, Zoom call, what you're going to do is just set the demo. It's going to sound something like this, right? What I just said. But dude, so what we can do now, it sounds like it might be a good fit, but what we could actually do now is get you on a quick Zoom call, show you step by step exactly how we might be able to get you from where you are now at that $5,000 a month to where you're looking to go, which is like 25K. Not only that, but obviously we want to outline a plan, help you create your offers, build out your business models, scale your business, show you what that would look like. You'd obviously have like 20, 30 minutes to hop on a Zoom call today, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, all right, cool. So then you got a laptop with a camera? Yes. Set demo. Okay. You have 10 to 15 minutes for a call, right? Yep. Okay, cool. You want to make sure laptop with camera. Here I just said laptop with camera. Don't hop on with them if they don't have a camera, right? Get a yes. Okay. You just mentioned just like to put a face to the name. Some people try to hide behind the camera. It's a little goofy. Ha ha, yeah, ha ha, yeah, ha. Okay, yeah, no. Now they know they're not hiding behind the camera, right? Like, okay, good. And then you crack a joke like there won't be any like barking animals, right? Screaming kids in the background, right? Yeah, no, okay, cool. Barking. This makes sure that like you're framing this as like it's serious, right? Okay, this is where it gets real. This is where you have to have confidence. Money talk, right? Okay, now in the money talk, you're gonna let them know the price. Ask ask if they can justify that. If things made sense. You're not asking anyone to commit to anything right now. You are not closing them. The entire goal behind a qualification call is not to close them, it's to qualify them. So ask them if they can justify if things made sense. Okay, now, how are you going to do this? Okay, so Chris, um, good. So like there won't be any barking animals, screaming kids in the background. Okay, all right, dude, good. All right, cool. So Chris, we're obviously going to go through the Zoom call, right? At the end of the Zoom call, if everything did make sense to you, right, I would obviously make you an offer. And by offer, I mean I would obviously ask you to invest in yourself if everything did make sense. Keep stressing if it made sense, right? Now, Chris, my question to you is: would you be able to justify a 12K investment in order to be able to create your own high ticket online agency that gets leads every day and brings in their goals, right? $25,000 per month, if everything made sense in the Zoom call. And then they're like, this is where they're gonna be like, I don't know, be like they say yes, be like, okay, cool, right? You're not gonna be like, all right, awesome, we'll swipe your card then. No, okay. What you do is, if yes, cool. Just curious, is that XYZ price you actually have saved? Okay. If they say yes, cool. Then you pretty much end the call, right? Then you go into like, lock it, which I'll go into this after this. But okay, cool. And if they say no, if no, be like, okay, cool. Or if you say, hey, dude, can you justify a 12 grand investment, whatever, they're gonna go, no, dude, I can't do that. Be like, dude, all right, no problem. Be like, gotcha. Is that because you just don't have the money, or is it because you can't spell, because you don't believe in investing in yourself? Boom. This is big. They're not going to tell you they don't believe in investing. Dude, I just don't have the money for it. Like, okay, dude, money's the last thing we're worried about. I'm actually probably one of the easiest guys you'll ever do business with, right? I'm more concerned about helping you, putting you in a position to win, okay? So, not trying to dig into your personal info, but I do need to understand this. In order to get from point A to point B, let me help you, right? Just so I can understand your situation, how much would you say you do have saved at the moment? Now, whatever they have saved, you just take it into account, right? Most people aren't gonna have 12 grand saved. So we're gonna be like, okay, like you got 6 grand saved. Like, okay, cool. Just out of curiosity, obviously, not asking you to make a decision right now. Like, truly understand that I'm not doing that. I'm just doing this for my own information. If everything did make sense, you'd obviously be open to potentially leveraging your credit to help fund the investment, right? They're gonna go either yes or no. Be like, okay, if they say yes, okay, great. Just better understanding your situation, just so I can help you. How would you say your credit's looking right now? Don't be like, what's your credit score? No. They go, oh, it's like a 720. Okay, cool. So I think I can come up with a game plan for you. I'm not too sure right now. Let's hop on that Zoom call, right? Of course, I'm gonna ask you to commit to anything you haven't seen yet. But with that being said, if everything did make sense and we were able to make this fit your budget, you'd be able to justify the investment, right? Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then that's it, right? Then you do the lockdown, right? I'll even add this in as lockdown. Okay, the lockdown is, you can do this in many different ways, but the way I like to do it is I like to be like, dude, mention you have a packed schedule and don't waste my time, basically. So this is what you're gonna say. I'll be like, dude, so you can say something like this. Like, I like to say, dude, be honest with me. Like, I have a very packed schedule. I'm sure you do too. Just out of respect for both of our times, I really just want to make sure that time that we picked is like good for the both of us. It's good for me, but I just want to make sure it checks out for you, right? And they're gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, it does. Be like, all right, so like other than like you could say like other than a zombie apocalypse, like you're gonna be there, but just be like, dude, just want to make sure of that. Just out of respect for your time, my time, understand that this calls to be productive and to actually like see if we can help you, right? Yeah, okay, good. That's how you kind of lock it down, right? So cool, dude. Awesome. So before we hop off here, do you have any questions for me? You lead with service? No. Awesome, dude. I'll catch you on Zoom tomorrow at 2 or later on today at 2. I'll talk to you then. Like, all right, dude. Be like, hey, if you have any other questions, you got my number. Just shoot me a text. All right, cool. Awesome. Super low pressure. You're not, that's the entire thing, right? This is the entire thing right here, right? That's how you do a qualification call. This should take anywhere from, I'd say, about 15 minutes to 30 to 45 minutes. There have been times where people have had so many questions where I spent an hour, 2 hours on this qualification call, but they have a lot of questions, meaning they're interested, and meaning they're probably going to close. So that's what I'm going to do. So this video was literally just to show you exactly kind of like my thought process behind how we do our sales calls. Now, keep in mind, everyone does their sales calls differently. Most people, if you have a lot of edification, you could just do a one call close. You could just get them on Zoom, price, be like, dude, you've been watching my content forever. Like, do the shit, do the deal, right? But if you're not at that point, this is what you do. You usually do a two call close. They don't know who you are yet. So you have to understand that they have to trust you. And that's the biggest, a big thing in sales is that like people have to trust who you are. So if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you, regardless of what you say to them, regardless of your objection handling and whatever you think you could say, these magic words that are just going to make them close. No, that's not the case. What you have to do is you have to understand that this is exactly how you do it, right? Communication, goals, senior data, qualification, set the demo, money talk. Notice that we set the demo before we did the money talk. It's not like, oh, this is the price. Like, oh, I'll think about, setting up that meeting. No, be like, let's set the demo first. Then you let them know the price, and like, be transparent with them. Be like, dude, let's get on the Zoom call. Like, let's make sure we lock that time down, and then we'll go over price and any other questions you have. Like, all right, cool. Like, super casual. Like, this is not your goal. You're not supposed to close someone on this call. This is a qualification. This is how you close without closing, right? So that's what you do. So that's exactly how we go and structure our initial first qualification call before we bring them to the demo. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you need something. Hit me up their IG. If you need help writing a script or a framework, I should say, let me know. Yeah, that's how you do it. See you guys in the next video.